So, guys, we're talking today about winning in your general contracting, building, remodeling business. And if you've heard me talk before, you know that my basic story is I started working as a production builder in 1995, so 30 years ago now. Worked for them for quite a few years. Built a not very good house, but didn't really know any better, frankly, because I was still a young builder. And in the year 2002, I moved to Portland, Oregon, and started building semi-custom homes. And if you're familiar with Portland, you know it's a pretty rainy climate. It rains a lot during the winter time, especially. Summers are actually pretty pleasant. Doesn't rain much and pretty mild on temperature, but really rains almost every day all winter long. Just this kind of misty, always coming down rain. So I moved there in 2002. How old was I at the time? I don't know, like 28, 29, 30 years old, something like that. And I guess I was 30. Oh, I was older than that. I was 30. Anyways, I moved there, rainy climate, and immediately after moving there, I was hired to be like a head superintendent type role where I was in charge of the project managers. But immediately, like within a week of moving there, we had two different crises that were happening in the building industry. One was the EFIS crisis, exterior insulating finishing system. EFIS, everyone kind of shortens it to. It's basically a fake stucco that you would apply a foam board on the outside of a house. You'd take a bucket of a pre-mixed kind of latex caulk paint kind of stirred product that had sand in it. You'd trowel it on top of the EPS foam. And when you were all done from the street, it looked just like stucco. You could not tell it was not stucco, but it was insulating. And so it was a benefit to our homeowners. We thought, oh, we're getting this continuous exterior insulation. The problem was it was not a good system because we hadn't thought well, and the manufacturers hadn't thought well about small failures in the system. In effect, basically, you had this barrier system on the outside of your house that had to be caulked meticulously around all of your window and door openings, and it was applied right onto your wood sheathing. And so here, moving there in 2002, the builder I was working for, because it was a less costly version of stucco and it had this insulation benefit, we had done probably 10, 15 houses in this new EFIS system. And when the lawsuits started happening a year or so after they were built, we got caught up in those. And I got to tear apart a bunch of houses that had EFIS that had massive problems. And we're talking about rot on basically new homes, houses that were like 12 to maybe 18 months old that had serious water problems. It's when I started really thinking about this quote from David Nicastro. You probably heard me say it before. If it can't dry, it's going to die. If water gets into a home built to today's codes, where's that water going to go? How is that water possibly going to dry? If water leaks in around windows and doors, if water leaks in through, your cladding, whatever it is, if wood is going to get wet, there's very, very little opportunity for that wood to dry. And so that's when the problems occur. And that's exactly what I learned on those EFIS houses. They would get wet back there, and even real plywood on these houses being built in the early 2000s just were absolutely having rot problems because the water would get in and have no pathway to get out or to dry or to drain. And then real, absolutely, really good grade plywood was decaying within 12 months because it was basically sealed in a plastic bag. Now, the other thing that was happening during that time is we had this national mold crisis. In about 2002, maybe even into early 2003, insurance companies were covering mold claims. And so anybody that thought they had mold in the house, the insurance company would pay for testing, would pay for remediation. And of course, that was pretty pricey. So if if it was found that there was mold and it was because of a mistake from the builder, let's say a leaky window and door, the insurance company was going to sue us to get their money back because these mold remediations were, easily multiple 30, 40, $50,000 affairs. I mean, think about when your washer and dryer explodes and you have a water leak. Think how costly that is. You've got all these fans and dehumidifiers and containment and all this other stuff. Well, think about that from a mold standpoint.